Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I made these adorable Valentine's Day gnomes using things from the Dollar Tree. Almost everything I use today is from Dollar Tree, and the things that I did not pick up at Dollar Tree, I'll be showing you some things that you can use instead, so no worries there. And these gnomes are incredibly quick and easy to make, so I think you're going to be excited with this video. But before we get started, if you guys are not subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button down below and give this video a thumbs up. So to start off with, you're going to need some socks. So I picked up these 2 pairs of socks from the Dollar Tree, and you want to make sure to get the longer socks. I think they're referred to as the knee-high socks because 1 sock is going to equal 1 gnome, so I'll be able to get 4 gnomes out of these socks here. So to start off with, we need to weigh down the bottom. And I have these poly pellets, but if you don't have these, Dollar Tree has some great options. They have these small pebbles that you can get, and you just want to fill the bottom of your gnome just so he sits upright. So either way, anything you use just to weigh down your gnome will work. So I had these on hand, so I'm just going to be using these today. So you just want to fill up the bottom until it has a nice weight to it. That way you know it will stay upright. Once the bottom of your sock feels like it has a good weight to it, we can move on to stuffing it. So I'm just going to be stuffing mine with some Poly-Fil that I already had on hand. But if you don't have any Poly-Fil, do not worry. You could definitely use some cotton balls that you can find at the Dollar Tree to stuff your gnome with. How much stuffing you use will determine how large your gnome is, and I filled mine up right to the heel portion of the sock. Hey guys, I just wanted to pop in real quick. In case you are new here, my name is Jessica and I love to make DIY videos. I've already put out a couple of DIY videos this year for Valentine's Day, so don't forget to check those out. And if you're new here, I would love to have you join us and subscribe down below. All right, back to the craft. Once your gnome is all stuffed, you just have to secure it, and you can definitely use a rubber band for this, but I'm just going to be using the string since I already had it on hand. And this is from the Dollar Tree as well. It's this really pretty white and pink string. So I'm just tying in a bunch of knots, and then I'm just going to be trimming off that extra string. And then you're just going to trim your sock right above it. And that is it. You are done with the body of your gnome. Now we have to give our little body a beard. So for this, I'm just going to be using a piece of faux fur that I already had from a very old project. But if you don't have any like this and you don't want to pick any up, you could also use cotton balls for this part. If you unravel them and kind of fluff them up a bit, you'll get that same kind of look, and you could just hot glue those onto the body. Or you could just use some yarn cut into strips. So for this, I'm just attaching it with some hot glue across the entire body. Whatever you end up using to make your beard, you just want to make sure that it is secured all around. Once the beard is all done, we can move on to the nose. So for this, I'm going to be using a wood bead, but if you don't have wood beads like this, you can definitely pick up beads at the Dollar Tree. They might not be this color though. I think they come already painted, so you could just paint it whichever color you like. Or you could also pick up some foam balls from the Dollar Tree, the really tiny ones that they use for table scatter, and it would look really similar to this. And to secure my nose on, I'm just using some more hot glue and positioning it pretty close to the top of the beard. Now for the hat, we're just going to be using that leftover piece of sock that we cut off before, and I'm just trimming mine here, so that heel portion I'm not going to be using right now. I'm just going to be using the upper part of the sock, and you'll see here that it says "Be Mine" on my sock, and I wanted that to be showing when I had the finished hat. So I'm just taking that raw edge on the bottom and I'm folding that inward. That way when I put his hat on, you won't be able to see it. Then you just want to stretch that sock around the top of your gnome, and you want to make sure that it's covering the top of the beard as well as the top portion of that nose. Once I had my hat positioned correctly with my "Be Mine" showing in the front, I just put some hot glue on the nose to secure the front part of my hat down, and then I worked my way around the whole hat, adding some hot glue to the back and securing the hat down. Once the hat was fully glued to the gnome, I took a little bit more of that Poly-Fil, or you could take that extra piece of sock that we cut off, and I just stuffed it into the top of the hat here. And then I used some more of that white and pink string, and I just tied a really tight knot, and then I made a little bow. Since I didn't pull this gnome's hat down too far, I thought it looked a little unfinished. So I just took that little piece of sock that I had left over and I turned the two raw edges inward so you couldn't see them, and I just slid it over his hat so he had a little bit of a brim to his hat. And for the final step, I got these stickers from the Dollar Tree. They're beautiful. They're all wood. And I'm just going to take one off and put it at the top of his hat. They do have a little sticky part in the back, but it wasn't really sticking that well, so I put some hot glue and just secured it to the top of the bow. When I finished with that guy, I made another gnome with the other Be Mine sock, and I just wanted to show you because no matter what, using all of the same materials, each gnome will look completely different. They all have their own little personalities, and with this gnome, I pulled the hat down even lower so you can see it really changes the look of the gnome. Now I'm going to show you how I made that adorable little girl gnome. So for this part here, I'm just going to fast forward through it since we just saw how to make the body. So more of those pellets or rocks, then some stuffing, and then you just want to tie it off into a tight knot and trim off the extra sock on top. I then trimmed off the heel portion of the top of the sock, and then I turned that raw edge inward so it would be covered when we put our hat on later. But first, before we do that, I'm moving on to the nose and the hair. So for the nose, just some hot glue on that wood bead, and I'm just sticking it here towards the top. And then for the hair, I'm going to be using this cotton twine that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to show you my method for getting a lot of hair strands really quickly. So you just want to take that twine and wrap it around your fingers a bunch of times, then slip it off your fingers, and you just want to cut it towards the top. And then that's it. You have a bunch of hair strands very quickly. So I did this about 3 more times until I had an entire handful of hair. I then divided that pile of hair into 2 sections, and I'm going to be gluing that one section on this side of the head first. So for this, I'm just putting down some strips of hot glue and then just taking a smaller section and just pushing it into the hot glue. And then to secure it even more, you can put some hot glue on top of that and let it dry. And then I'm just putting that other section of hair that I separated earlier onto this side and just adding small portions at a time until I use up all of the strands. Once you have all of your hair strands in place and your hot glue is all dry, it is time to move on to the hat. So you're just going to take that sock that we had from before and slide it on over. You want to make sure that it's covering the top of the hair, and then you just want to glue it to the top of the nose and secure that down. And then I just went around the hat, securing it with some more hot glue. And then I used some more Poly-Fil, just a little bit this time, and I filled up the hat and I tied another bow on top. And then this hat was a little bit longer than the other ones, so I did trim off the top of the sock up top just to make it a little bit shorter. Now we have to give our little gnome girl a hairstyle, and for this I just went with a very classic braid. So you just want to take that hair and divide it into 3 sections and just do a simple braid all the way down. Once I got to the bottom of my braid, I just took more of that white and pink string and I just tied it in a knot first to secure it, and then I made a little bow and just trimmed off the extra strings. And once it was all tied up, I decided to trim the bottom of her braid just to make sure it had a nice even look to it. And then you want to just repeat this process again on the other side. Here is our gnome girl looking super cute with those braids, but of course she needs a finishing touch as well. So I just chose the red heart for her, and I'm just going to secure it to the top of her hat with some hot glue. And that is it for our little girl gnome. Out of the 2, I would say she's probably my favorite just because I love her little braids. I think they are so sweet. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. These gnomes are so easy to make. They're super quick, and I just had so much fun doing it. I'm definitely going to have to make more gnomes now for each holiday. So definitely be on the lookout for a St. Patrick's Day gnome pretty soon. But if you guys are new here, please do not forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching.